Hey, what is going on, guys? The SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and today I'm gonna talk about this bullshit, uh, you know, debate that everyone's having, which I don't even understand how this is a goddamn debate. You know what I mean? There, it's irrefutable to me how people actually defend these pieces of shit, okay, statues. You know what I mean? We're talking about the Confederate statues. These statues are terrible. They are discriminating. They cause treason. They supported the continuation of slavery, which is ridiculous. How can you people condone this shit? How can you condone these people and then honor them? There's no justification. I know some people like to argue Jefferson and Washington, they were presidents, they did stuff for the country. But the Confederates, what the frig did these guys do? They left the United States, which in those days we called it treason. Now, today, it'd be called terrorism. But it caused treason, okay? Robert E. Lee, the biggest racist of them all, okay, freaking was personally asked by President Abraham Lincoln to help the Union and to be their general, and he declined, which makes him a betrayer of the country. And yet he got pardoned after the war, which was bullshit. I feel like Lincoln was too soft on Lee, and Grant was too. Grant was very, very kind to him. Guarantee Lee wouldn't have been that kind if the roles had been reversed. Grant was a nobody general that no one knew about before the war. Well, some people knew him, but not the whole country didn't know who he was. People knew who Robert E. Lee was before the war. Okay. No one knew who Ulysses S. Grant was prior to the war. Okay. And he rises up, becomes one of the greatest, if not the greatest general of our time. Okay. Wins the war when it looks bleak, before he becomes the main general of the war. Wins the war, okay, wins it, and gives Robert E. Lee a very, very kind, surrender paper. Grant has been lost in history because stupid racist Southerners created that propaganda bullcrap. And don't even, if I hear someone on this comment section try to say, this was about state rights and all that bullshit, you're a piece of shit and a misguided fool. Okay? It was never about states' rights. There is not one state that's going to leave the Union because of states' rights. Okay? It was because they wanted to preserve slavery. Make no mistake about it. That was their number one goal, was to preserve slavery. An inhumane thing to do. Inhumane thing to do. And you people on the South, not all of you, but a lot of them, in the South today, still support these idiots. Alright? Their heritage. Okay? Their heritage. The heritage of discrimination. The heritage of Southern pride. No. That's not heritage. That's bombardism. Okay? You're supporting the past lives of people that enslaved people, tried to kill people, whipped people if they ran away. Alright? You treated slaves as property. Okay? That is bombardic. I'm sick of hearing it. I said it before. I said it a couple of weeks ago on my Instagram. Get rid of all these things. And also, I would like to thank the people, because a couple of weeks ago I made a tweet on Twitter about this issue, about all the Confederates statues being taken down and being, destroyed and whatever. You want to know what you can replace them with? Replace them with Ulysses Grant. Replace him with Union. Better yet, how about you replace it with John Brown, who still to this day, hasn't been pardoned for what I view as justifiable homicide. Okay, people say, oh, John Brown, he murdered people. Like, oh yeah, Robert E. Lee murdered people and he got off scot-free. Okay, he betrayed the country. He killed a bunch of people in the war. Okay, yes, I know it's war. All generals are responsible for murdering people. But the reason why he did it was to continue slavery. And make no mistake about it, if you want to argue that, oh, Robert E. Lee was just doing it because, he lived in Virginia and he was a Virginian. Doesn't matter what his reason was. He still joined the side of the evil people that wanted to preserve slavery. Okay? They wanted to preserve it. Make no mistake about it. I don't care that he lived in Virginia. Sometimes you have to go against your state to get results. Robert E. Lee didn't do that. He was a racist, and he owned slaves, by the way. Okay? And he did not treat them very good. As a matter of fact, that's just being kind at how he treated them. How dare you people defend these people? And people are talking about the Confederate flags and all this shit and how it's being banned. It should be banned. Why the hell would you want to support a goddamn flag that frickin' supports inhumane slavery and frickin' all the other shit that comes with it? Betraying the country. Everyone shits on Colin Kaepernick for doing a knee on the American flag. Why the fuck do you guys get off fucking scot-free for, excuse my French, why do you guys get off scot-free for supporting a goddamn flag that frickin' tried to just not only destroy the Union, but wanted to preserve inhumane practices in slavery? Why the hell do you guys get off? What the hell do you guys get off supporting a goddamn flag that was racist and freaking supporting slavery and betraying the country with treason? Seems kind of hypocritical if you ask me. Y'all shitted on Colin Kaepernick for bullshit about kneeing, which legally that's his right to do that. Okay? Whether you think it was wrong or not, he was doing it for a cause that people are talking about now, even more now than they were back then. Okay? He was doing it for, protest, which in the United States, whether you agree with his view on it or not, still legally allowed to do under the Constitution of freedom of peaceful protest. Doesn't take away from you still standing, okay? But when you guys, and again, you guys lose the argument when you guys shitted on Kaepernick for that, and then you support that racist, that treasonous American, or not even a Confederate flag, okay? That treasonous American flag, or Confederate flag, okay? That should be banned everywhere. That flag should be gone. Everyone talks about Mississippi still has that on that flag. Yes, it should be gone. It should be gone. There should be no remnants of the Confederate. As a matter of fact, none of these monuments should have been up in the first place. When has it ever a loser of a war gets monuments put up? Okay? Only apparently the Confederates did. Because they have a bunch of monuments still that should all be taken down. They all should be gone. I'd replace them all with Ulysses Grant or Union soldiers, because they actually fought to preserve the Union. The Confederates tried to ruin the Union. Okay? That is an undeniable fact. They tried to ruin the Union. And you guys are sitting here trying to keep this flag, this Confederate flag up, this frickin' the racist and treasonous Confederate flag, and these statues of people that betrayed the country, and you guys defend them. Why do you defend them? What did they do that was good? And also, to all the people that are saying that this is erasing history, no, this doesn't erase the history. History has been told for 150 years of what they've been doing. Okay? So why should they be honored? This doesn't erase history, but they shouldn't be honored. They shouldn't be acknowledged for what they did. A statue is supposed to imply of something great someone did. Okay? A great person did something for a greater good. Robert E. Lee did not do anything good in the Civil War. He betrayed the country. He tried to preserve slavery. All of those Confederate soldiers did that. So why should they be allowed to keep their statues up? They shouldn't. Period. End of story. The fact that people justify these tyranny statues is ridiculous. They should all be gone. Any schools that are renamed or that are named after Lee should be gone. They should be renamed. Either Grant, a Union, John Brown, someone that actually did something, that actually tried to get rid of slavery. John Brown should be pardoned. Alright? People say he caused mass murder. Yeah, he did it because racist Southerners tried to admit Kansas as a slave state. Kansas and Missouri. Bleeding Kansas, as we called it. Okay? He actually tried, okay, to put an end to it and to prevent the expansion of slavery. I would argue that John Brown is what really kind of kick-started the Civil War. The Civil War didn't start until about 2 years later, but without him, many people didn't know or were aware of the situation that was coming. And then it did. Ulysses Grant, is forgotten as this weak president that didn't do anything. He actually tried to get rid of the KKK. He actually tried to reconstruct the South. Unfortunately, because Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by the racist John Wilkes Booth, who was also coincidentally witnessing John Brown's hanging, which just lays the groundwork of his racism. Okay? Those guys, what they did was inhumane and ridiculous. Okay? But John Brown actually tried to stop it. He tried to stop it. Tried to stop the expansion of slavery. Before Lincoln was even in office. Before Lincoln was even president. Okay? Because no one else would have done it. No one else would have done it. Okay? No one else would have done it at that time. Lincoln got in there and he started making changes. He couldn't make right away changes because he had to appeal to racist voters and abolitionists, because there were no African American men that could vote at the time, as we all know. So he had to preserve. He had to kind of middleman, so to speak, so he can get elected and make the proper changes. He already had the Emancipation Proclamation already ready to go. It was just a matter of when he was going to be able to use it and enforce it. Make no mistake about it. He was going to do it, but he needed an excuse to use it, or when to use it. And when it became clear that the Southerners were not going to stay in the Union, that's when he made that plan. So this stupid argument is dumb. If you want to argue Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, both that were presidents, for the United States, that's one thing, because obviously they did do a lot of things for the country, the United States. But when I hear people argue about the Confederates keeping their monuments up, that's bullshit. Okay, it is. I'm sorry for my French, but That's bull, okay? There was nothing that these guys did that was good. There was nothing. There was no reason. They rebelled. They betrayed the country. They wanted to keep their slaves, which is inhumane in itself. And yet we're honoring them with statues? No, they don't deserve to be honored. This doesn't erase what they did that we've been telling in the history books for 150 years. What it erases them being honored for being good people when they weren't good people. Good people are the ones, great people that did something are honored. George Washington and Jefferson, while controversial in today's standards, okay, for obvious reasons, okay, they did something at least for the country. Okay, they did. They were presidents. Obviously, Washington Revolutionary War general, and that's why we're even a country to begin with today, and that's why we're talking today. Okay, Confederates did nothing but try to hurt the Union. Okay, and try to pretty much end the Union. Okay, because if they would have won the war, there's a good argument that could have happened, because the Union would have been much weaker. Would have been a much weaker country. Okay, Ulysses Grant actually had an achievement that only George Washington had gotten. Okay, in terms of being a general. Okay, and yet, thanks to the propaganda BS lost cause, Grant's presidency was drastically diminished. It was drastically diminished. He actually tried to reconstruct the South. He actually tried to do it, but the South were resistant. The South would not allow him to do what needed to be done to restore the country. And I also kind of blame the fact that Lincoln got assassinated when he did. If Lincoln had not gotten assassinated when he did, and Andrew Johnson taking his place for the rest of Lincoln's term, that hurt too, because that gave a couple of years that the South needed. That wouldn't have happened with Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, if he had been president for the remainder of his term, second term, it would have been much different. There would have been much more of a restructure, of that South, I do believe. And we wouldn't have this racist bullshit that we still have to this day, thanks to the Southerners. And also, I want to repeat this. Not every person in the South, okay, are bad people. Okay, not all of you are bad people. Okay, but a lot of you that are defending these pieces of shit monuments, these pieces of shit statues that represent racism, slavery, and rebellion, okay, of betraying our country, have no rights to stand on with these guys. So yes, my take, and I'm sure the majority of you would all agree, all these Southerners, all these Confederate statues need to go down. If you have to replace them with something, replace them with the Union soldiers. Ulysses Grant, he deserves a really good monument, in my opinion, because I think he was one of the great presidents. Without him as the general that he was, Abraham Lincoln's probably not remembered as much today. And we all look at Abraham Lincoln as one of the greatest presidents of all time. And I do too. Without him, I don't think we get that. And I think Grant's presidency is not looked upon enough and not given enough respect that it deserves. So yeah, that's my take on this, guys. I'm out of here. I just wanted to address this because I'm sick of, the debates. I'm hearing, all these people talk about these statues coming down or coming up or, vandalizing them. That's what I think. Confederate statues need to go down. Anything associated that's named after Lee or any of these Confederate soldiers need to all go down. They were racist. They betrayed our country. They were slaves, or they enslaved people. They enslaved people, which to me is the most inhumane thing you can do. They need to go down, and that's how I take it. I'm out of here. SS Ultimate Goku out of here. Peace.